The U.S. deploying more military to Saudi Arabia in a show of force amid escalating tensions in the Middle East. Iran seizing a British oil tanker in the Strait of Hormuz just one day after the U.S. took down an Iranian drone. The president warning Iran against any more provocative action, alluding to the sanctions already crippling the country.
Iran is in big trouble right now. Their economy is crashing. It's coming to a crash. They're trying to bring soldiers back home because they can't pay them. A lot of bad things are happening to them, and it's very easy to straighten out, or it's very easy for us to make it a lot worse.
Hi, Laura. It's the first time in 16 years the U.S. military has deployed forces to Saudi Arabia as tensions with Iran continue to escalate. The Pentagon made the announcement last night in a statement, quote, "This movement of forces provides an additional deterrent and ensures our ability to defend our forces and interests in the region from emergent, credible threats. U.S. Central Command continually assesses force posture in the region and is working with Kingdom of Saudi Arabia authorities to base U.S. assets at the appropriate locations."
Britain insists its oil tanker that was seized by Iran was in Omani territorial waters, and it's called for the vessel to be released in a letter to the UN Security Council. Oman has also urged Iran to let the tanker go. It comes after the British government summoned Tehran's top diplomat in London. On Friday, a cargo ship was making its way through the Strait of Hormuz, heading to Saudi Arabia, when it was surrounded by 4 Iranian boats and a helicopter. Tehran says the tanker was violating maritime rules. And Nadeem, the fact that the British are now saying that this tanker was in Oman's territorial waters makes a huge difference. What is the significance of that?
Well, the significance, Martine, is that they're saying this was clearly an illegal act. The line first came from Penny Mordaunt, Britain's defence minister, on Saturday. It was taken up by Jeremy Hunt, the Foreign Secretary, later that day. And now, as you've said, Britain has officially written to the UN Security Council, and in the letter it says the ship was exercising the lawful right of transit passage in an international strait as provided for under international law.
Thousands of Remainers marched through London on Saturday, just a few days before Brexiteer Boris Johnson is expected to become Britain's new Prime Minister. The country is in political turmoil as it nears October 31st, the deadline for leaving the European Union. Johnson's leadership campaign has promised to leave by then, even if no deal is in place to manage Brexit. Many economists, financial institutions, as well as the current finance minister, have warned that Britain will take a hit of billions of pounds if that happens. A Boris blimp flew from outside Parliament with the number 350 million emblazoned on it. That refers to the amount of money Johnson has claimed Britain will save each week if and when it leaves the EU.
Welcome back. The Indian Space Research Organisation has announced that its mission Chandrayaan-2 is on track after the first attempt was aborted last week. The new launch is scheduled at 2:43 p.m. tomorrow. The Premier Space Agency tweeted saying that the launch rehearsals for tomorrow's mission has been completed and the performance of all systems on board the GSLV Mk3 rocket is normal. A sudden drop in pressure in one of the tanks containing helium gas on the GSLV Mk3 rocket was behind ISRO's decision to abort the Chandrayaan-2 moon mission last week. Subsequently, a leak was determined in the cryogenic fuel tank, which was fixed. ISRO announced the second date of the launch on 18th of July, just 3 days after it had to abort the first mission.
Heavy Jamal had a wife's premonition. The morning of her husband Nariman Jundiani's death last Wednesday, she told him to postpone traveling to Erbil to renew his passport.
In the morning, I told him, don't go today. For me, I have a strange feeling. Don't go to Erbil.
They last spoke minutes before he went to this restaurant in Erbil to meet his friend, Bazdar Bradosti. They were sitting near Turkish diplomat Osman Kosa when he was assassinated. Sources say the friends were shot as they tried to escape. Security forces arrested the suspected gunman, 27-year-old Mazloum Dag. They say he's a member of the PKK, the armed Kurdish group declared a terrorist organization by Turkey.
A pro-Donald Trump beauty queen of Chinese heritage has been stripped of her Miss Michigan title over social media posts which organizers of the pageant found offensive.
Miss Kathy Zhu, it has been brought to the attention to Miss World America that your social media accounts contain offensive, insensitive and inappropriate content. Therefore, and effective immediately, MWA does not recognize you as a participant of any sort or in any capacity as it relates to any and all events of MWA. Furthermore, let this communication serve as official notice to remove any mention of yourself as a participant in MWA from all social media platforms.
Well, Kathy Zhu went online to defend the since-deleted tweets that she says led to her being dropped. One concerned a college event for World Hijab Day last year in which she refused to wear the Islamic headgear and criticised it as being a symbol of female oppression. Another saw her blame the black community for the high number of deaths among black people.
Protesters are hitting the streets right now in Puerto Rico. They're calling on the governor to resign after offensive messages were leaked. Brian Yenis is in San Juan with the very latest on this one. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Laura. Well, tonight, this is day 8 of continuous protests calling on Governor Ricardo Rosselló to resign. You can see behind me, this is what they call a cacerolazo. They are banging pots and pans right outside of the entrance of La Fortaleza, which is the governor's mansion. They've been here for the last 4 hours. This really started the protesting on Saturday of last week when 889 pages of text messages from a group chat with Rosselló and 11 of his aides came out. They were misogynistic, they were homophobic, there were abhorrent things said about political opponents, and there were also mocking and jokes made about the Hurricane Maria victims. And
a 3.9 magnitude earthquake occurred Sunday morning in the southern city of Sangju in Gyeongsang-buk-do province. It was the strongest tremor the country has experienced this year. The Korea Meteorological Administration says the quake happened at around 11:04 a.m. It's been classified as a level 4 quake, which is usually strong enough to rattle windows. Emergency authorities received more than 270 reports from those who felt the tremor. However, there have not yet been any reports of injuries or damage.
The United States struggle to be seen as the most tolerant country on the planet has hit a snag. Even the words America and American now are being tagged as non-inclusive by Colorado State University for one in a list of language to be avoided. The reason American makes the list is because people use it to mean people from the United States. Well, that's what I thought so too. And the university thinks that's unfair to other countries and cultures as well. Gender words are, it seems, another linguistic minefield with words like male, female, ladies and gentlemen best avoided according to the guidelines, which are not compulsory.
This is not an official policy or required practice. The guide is not about political correctness or policing grammar, but rather helping communicators practice inclusive language and helping everyone on our campus feel welcomed, respected and valued.
Separately, the Californian city of Berkeley is planning to move to gender-neutral language. Let's go through some of it. Words like manhole will be replaced with maintenance hole. Manpower becomes human effort, and pregnant women should be referred to as pregnant employees.
A raging inferno licking the edges of properties northeast of Lisbon. More than 1,000 firefighters are battling 3 intense blazes burning across central Portugal. Authorities partially evacuated a village with 1 firefighter fighting for life in hospital with severe injuries. 7 others have since been released. Strong winds are hampering the rescue efforts as temperatures continue to soar into the mid-30s. Wildfires are all too familiar in Portugal. In June 2017, a devastating fire in the central town of Pedro Grande killed 64 people, making it the worst disaster in the country's modern history.